Kamala Harris is set to conclude the Democratic National Convention with what is the most important speech of her political career. Ken Kowzarowski is live outside the United Center in Chicago with more on what's at stake and what delegates are hoping to hear. Ken.
Emily, good evening to you. The program has started within the last half hour. We do have protesters about a block and a half away, but they look to be sufficiently contained by police. The rest of volunteers and watchers are filing into the United Center behind me. Now, Harris's speech is definitely an important one for her, and it's the culmination, essentially, of 4 days of hype that national Democrats, some of her family members, and even some celebrities have been giving her over this time. Now, Harris was Biden's VP for the last 4 years, but it is a job that essentially rests in obscurity for that time. So, to some extent, Harris's speech tonight is sort of an introduction to many of the American public who perhaps don't follow politics too closely. Now, speakers all week long at the DNC have been painting her as a tough former prosecutor from the state of California and also someone who had a humble middle-class upbringing. It's a balancing act, essentially, of Harris as a fighter, but also someone who can bring joy and a sense of compassion for her neighbor in this political race. Her running mate, Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, did that quite a bit in his speech last night. Western Wisconsin delegates are hoping more of the same from Harris's speech tonight. And if she does that, she says, there will be a lot more momentum as voter enthusiasm on the Democratic side is already pretty high in the state.
I think there's a lot of energy across the country for change, for a younger generation, there's an excitement in the air that we haven't seen since 2008.
We've increased voters. In my little district, we were up 8% in new registrations. We had never had that many new registrants. One man was 90 years old, a Korean veteran. He'd voted, but he hadn't voted in a long time. And he said, I can't miss this opportunity because I need a commander-in-chief that I can trust.
McGrath saying there that veteran believes Harris over Donald Trump is better poised to be someone that voters can trust. Now, Trump has continued to say his presidency over Joe Biden's created a safer world and that the conflict in Ukraine and the war in Gaza would have never happened had Trump remained president.